the day my boyfriend of 7 years proposed to me. Just as I was about to say yes, a flood of bullet comments suddenly appeared before my eyes. I'm dying of laughter. The female supporting role is actually crying. Does she really think the male supporting role is going to marry her? Doesn't she know the only reason the male supporting role proposed to her was because he got drunk and mistook her for the female lead? I pretended not to see, and nodded through tears. Later, a gossiping onlooker told me the truth. Everyone was certain I would cause a huge scene, but instead of that, I generously forgave Henry. What they didn't know was that I was the conqueror in this game. As long as the male supporting role proposed to me, my mission was complete. 3 days later, the system confirmed, mission accomplished. Do you wish to exit this world? I lay in the bathtub and smiled in relief. Yes. Chapter 1. Staring blankly at the bullet comments in front of me, I froze. Instinctively, I reached out to the system. After running a check, it told me there was a malfunction. I've already submitted a report. I nodded. In front of me, Henry watched me spacing out, and asked again, will you marry me? Will you marry me, please? It was obvious he was somewhat drunk. Everyone's gaze was fixed on me, as if watching a drama. Clearly all of them knew Henry had mistaken me for someone else, but I still nodded. Henry looked at me tenderly and slipped the ring onto my finger. Yet the next second, someone in the crowd spoke up. Henry, you've got the wrong person. This is Diana. Henry froze. His gaze landed on my face, and instantly, his expression stiffened. Why is it you? A trace of regret flickered in his eyes. A few busybodies nearby explained to me. Sorry, Diana. Henry mistook you. He thought you were Vicky. Everyone was waiting for my reaction, expecting me to break down in tears the next moment, or blow up at Henry. After all, who could tolerate a boyfriend of 7 years making such a mistake? Henry also added, I was drunk. I tugged at the corner of my lips, and only after hearing the system announce the mission's success did I finally speak. It's fine. Then I asked the system, can I leave now? It paused. Of course, in 7 days, you can return to your original world. Are you sure you want to abandon everything here? To leave this world behind? I gave a soft reply. Yes. All right. Due to the malfunction check, the departure time has been delayed to 7 days later. I nodded. It just so happened I still had some things to deal with in this world. Chapter 2. When the atmosphere turned stiff, Vicky's voice appeared. Why is it so quiet? Has Diana arrived? Did the proposal succeed? Her gaze fell on Henry and me. I just mistook the person, Henry instinctively explained the moment Vicky walked out, as if he was worried I had taken this proposal as something real. I didn't speak. Others, seeing how awkward things were, began to laugh it off. Come on, let's keep playing. Only I remained standing where I was. Vicky gave me an embarrassed smile. Diana, sorry. He was holding the diamond ring saying he wanted to propose. I thought he was looking for you, so I called you. You're not angry, are you? Yes. It was because I received Vicky's call that I rushed over. Henry sat to the side, drinking the hangover medicine the waiter brought. He heard what she said, and only responded faintly. It's fine. It was as if he was helping Vicky out of the situation. Chapter 3. Ever since Vicky returned from abroad 7 days ago, Henry had almost never come home. At first, he only claimed he had to work overtime. Even if he did come back, as long as Vicky called, he would immediately abandon me and leave. Later, I saw his messages with Vicky and finally understood everything. That day I lost my temper and caused a scene, but Henry only left me with a cold sentence. You should know your place. Then, leaving me in my confusion, he slammed the door and walked out, and never came back. Until this morning, Vicky updated her Instagram. For someone loved. Walnuts have no shells. The picture showed Henry's office in the background, with her holding a jar of shelled walnuts. It was the very jar I had peeled for Henry some time ago, worried that working late would harm his health. I was stunned for a long time. Then I looked down at my scarred hands. At last, I saw clearly what this relationship was. The female lead will always be the female lead. Even though I stayed by Henry's side for 7 years, I still couldn't compete with the 7 days after she came back. I had come into this world after a car accident. The system told me my mission was to redeem the male supporting role. But when I first approached Henry, he treated me with coldness and disgust. Back then, he wore a faded t-shirt, with messy hair slightly covering his brows. Since he was unwilling, I gave up, even though the system told me that if I gave up, I would never return to my own world. It didn't matter. After all, I was an orphan. It was the same wherever I was. But later, I became Henry's junior in school. When he was drugged, I was the one who took him to the hospital. That day, Henry began to pursue me, and I accepted immediately. Two people who hadn't lived very well came together, and suddenly life seemed to have the taste of happiness. When I worked part-time during vacation, Henry got off work earlier than me and waited at the door to pick me up. The year we graduated from college, he started his own business, and I stayed by his side. And so I followed him for 7 years. Even though I knew he was the devoted male supporting role, I believed everyone had a past. Besides, the female lead had already achieved her happy ending with the male lead. Chapter 4. At this moment, Vicky sat beside Henry, speaking in a sweet voice. Diana, those walnuts in Henry's office are pretty tasty. Where did you buy them? Seeing Vicky's interest, Henry's gaze also fell on me. By now, he was mostly sober, yet he didn't bother to explain what had just happened. It was as if he were waiting for me to answer. After a long while, I steadied my emotions and looked at Henry. 2nd Street, South City. Since there's nothing else, I'll be leaving first. After saying that, I turned to go, but one of Vicky's friends called out to stop me. Diana, that ring on your hand was personally crafted by President Ning. Please take it off. Exactly. President Ning only proposed to you because he mistook you for Vicky. Clearly, you're not the rightful owner. My fingertips dug deep into my palm. I forced a pained smile. Of course. Then, under Henry's gaze, I took off the ring without hesitation and casually tossed it into the ornamental pool behind me. I strode away, never once looking back. The bullet comments still flickered before my eyes. The female supporting role must be angry, right? Honestly, anyone would be angry. She's been with the male supporting role for 7 years. 7 years. Yet his heart remained cold. There's really no need to keep warming it anymore. Finally, someone acts like a normal person. I was about to say the same. Is the author's sense of values really correct? If the male supporting role never cleared his heart, why pursue the female supporting role at all? Chapter 5. When I got home, someone anonymously sent me a video. Opening it, Henry's voice and that of his friend came through. Henry, Vicky's in the bathroom. There's no one else here. Tell me. Diana already said yes. Why not just treat it as a real proposal? Why did you have to immediately explain and embarrass her? She's been waiting for you for 7 years. In a few more years, she'll be 30. If she keeps waiting, she won't be that young anymore. Come on, tell your brother the truth. When exactly do you plan on marrying Diana? In the video, Henry swirled his wine glass and thought for a moment. Never. Everyone fell silent. After a long pause, he continued, if it hadn't been for me being drunk and mistaking her for Vicky this time, I never would have proposed to her. The sound cut off. I instinctively lifted my head and saw myself in the floor-length mirror. My face streaked with tears. So tears really can fall without you even realizing it. Those words were cruel beyond belief. Every syllable piercing straight into my heart. Like they were mocking the 7 years of feelings I had given, how cheap they were. Even if I didn't want to admit it. From age 20 to 27, in the best years of my youth, how could I not have fallen in love with him? And then I realized, when I cried, I actually looked somewhat like Vicky. Finally, I understood Henry's words. You should know your place. So that's what he meant. He had always treated me as a substitute for the female lead. Chapter 6. That night, Henry still came home. Only this time, he carried a bag of roasted walnuts in his hand. When he saw me, his thin lips moved slightly, as though he wanted to say something, but I didn't even glance at him. I went to the kitchen and drank several glasses of water. When I went upstairs, I saw the door of Henry's study open. He sat on the leather chair, holding a walnut in his hand. until the shell cut a thin line of blood across his finger. He just stared for a long time, and then continued peeling. I remembered that in the past 7 years, Henry always knew I liked durian, but he couldn't stand the smell, not even for a second. He told the housekeeper never to allow durian in the house, even when the housekeeper reminded him that it was my favorite, and suggested he could simply avoid it by going upstairs. He dismissed it, saying, "Not eating it won't kill you." After that day, durian never appeared in the house again, but these troublesome walnuts, he was willing to peel one by one for Vicky, so it wasn't that he found going upstairs troublesome, nor that he couldn't tolerate something. It was simply that the person he was willing to tolerate wasn't me. Back in my room, I opened a secondhand marketplace app and listed all my belongings at the lowest price, including the gifts Henry had given me. I didn't want any of it. The bullet comments kept flashing. Wait, is the plot going off track? The female supporting role is selling all her things. Could she be preparing to leave? Leaving would be perfectly reasonable after the male supporting role hurt her like this. How could anyone expect her to stay? My God, I really want to send the author a knife. The female supporting role in this state is breaking my heart. I just checked. In the next room, the male lead only peeled a few walnuts before putting them down. Then the female lead called, and he immediately left. Enough. I hereby declare my heart belongs to the female supporting role. Chapter 7. Because I priced them so low. A newly opened luxury resale shop instantly snapped everything up. Soon, everything was packed away and taken. The few dolls and trinkets left, I bundled together and threw into the trash. I put on the most popular innocent but desirable makeup look of the moment, stepped into high heels, and walked out the door. I was preparing to buy gifts for my old college roommates before leaving. During the time I had lived in this world, aside from Henry, they were the only ones in my life. Back then, I hadn't yet been with Henry, and in this world, I was still an orphan who grew up in an orphanage. During our 4 years at university, they always took care of me. Whenever ordering food, they would order 2 meat dishes, and under the excuse of not being able to finish, would slip extra into my bowl. They looked after me so well. Later, after graduation, we scattered like flowers in the wind, and chances to meet became fewer and fewer. Some got married, some fought hard in big companies, but through all these years, we still remained us. So I decided to go to the jewelry store and buy each of them a set of jewelry, as a keepsake, and if life ever became too difficult, I hoped the jewelry could give them the courage to choose differently. I carefully picked 3 pieces according to their personalities. When I went downstairs to pay, I heard voices in the private room next door, Vicky and Henry. "Henry, what do you think of this set?" "It's fine," accompanied by the saleswoman's voice. "Sir, madam, this set is our signature design, the champion of this year's jewelry showcase." As I crouched on the ground, the saleslady called out my name. Henry and Vicky walked out. "Miss Diana, do you know each other?" I glanced at Henry standing protectively by Vicky's side, clearly her guardian figure now, and shook my head. "Not really." At that moment, Henry froze. "Not really?" When the female supporting role said that, the male supporting role's fingertips trembled. Isn't this ironic? She was his girlfriend, yet he's shopping with the female lead. I remember in the book, after the male supporting role became successful in business, he never once accompanied the female supporting role to shop. Every time she asked, he refused. When it was time to pay, Henry finally reacted and took out his card. "Let's do it together." The saleslady looked at the 3 of us, clearly confused about our relationship. I placed my card on the counter. "No need. I'll pay for myself." As for his card, naturally it was used to buy the jewelry Vicky had set her eyes on. Carrying the bags, I carefully packaged everything and mailed it to my 3 roommates. After that, I drove to the barbecue stall outside our university and treated myself to a satisfying meal. The bullet comments continued. "God, I really feel sorry for the female supporting role. She's eating barbecue alone, while the female lead is begging the male supporting role to take her to fancy restaurants. The female supporting role is truly such a good person. She even ordered mild sausages to feed the stray dog. Our female supporting role deserves a better man. Chapter 8. When I got home, Henry was already there early. clutching his phone in his hand. Seeing me return, he seemed to let out a sigh of relief. Diana, a lot of the things in the house are gone. Even the cushion you liked most on the sofa is missing. And your wardrobe is empty. There are only 3 outfits left inside. And the gifts I gave you are all gone too. I calmly cut him off. I got rid of them. He said nothing more. But before going upstairs, he asked, "Those were all your favorites. Why would you just throw them away like that?" I ignored him. Later, he sighed. "It's fine. We can buy new ones." And then he went to the bathroom. I sat on the sofa, listening to the system's suggestions. Jumping off a building works, though it might be a little scary. Drowning in the sea isn't bad either. I replied, "What if people see me when they're swimming?" Besides, I didn't want to feed the fish. After much discussion, we finally decided on the way to leave. Chapter 9. My phone rang. It was a cemetery salesman. "Miss Diana, right? There's a plot in the eastern suburbs. The location and feng shui are both excellent. If the budget allows, I strongly recommend you buy the one in the east. The western suburbs are more remote. Fewer people visit, and it's farther from downtown. Would you like me to change it for you?" I shook my head. "No, the one in the west is fine." Just then, Henry suddenly opened the bathroom door. Hearing me, he seemed slightly surprised. "You're buying a cemetery plot?" The salesman's voice came through the phone. "All right then, Miss Diana." I hung up, looking at Henry's soft gaze. I nodded. "Yes, I'm buying a cemetery plot. I'm afraid that when I die, no one will collect my body." Henry frowned. Bullet comments appeared. I sent the female supporting role an orphan? Who is she buying a grave for? Wait a second. Could it be the female supporting role has cancer or something? Wasn't this supposed to be a romance story? Don't stab us like this. It really seems like it. She sold way too many things. If she's just leaving, why would she even sell her suitcase? Looks like she's preparing for, unbelievable. It's just a breakup. Does she really have to act like it's life or death? Didn't I say it already? The female supporting role isn't that charming. The female lead is still the cute and delicate one. Seeing these bullet comments, I instinctively wanted to explain, but the system told me I couldn't respond, or else the bug would only grow worse. So I let it go. Chapter 10. The next morning, Henry dragged me to the hospital for a full checkup. Only when he saw the report showing everything was fine did he finally relax. Looking at how nervous he was now, I could only find it ridiculous. Why pretend to be so devoted? But then, he gave me a complicated look, with a hint of disappointment in his eyes. "Diana, you tried to scare me with death?" I looked at the little red spot on my wrist from the blood draw and sneered. "Who was trying to scare you? You were the one who insisted on dragging me here." Henry. He probably never expected me to one day speak to him in this tone. Let's just drop it this time. Right after, his phone chimed with a notification. Moments later, he said, "There's something at the company. You can take a taxi home." With that, he grabbed his coat and strode out. I watched him leave in the exact opposite direction of his company. Most likely, it wasn't company business at all. It was Vicky. The bullet comments raged. "Scumbag. Last night, the male supporting role didn't sleep at all after the female lead asked. She told the male lead that maybe the female supporting role just wanted his attention. It's probably just that she wants to clear away the past." Oh, come on. She still wants to cling to the male supporting role? Otherwise, why not just break up already if she's this sad? Give up. The male supporting role is destined to be the female lead's knight. Shut up. Will you? The female supporting role is his actual girlfriend. Okay? The female lead keeps messaging him, to be blunt. Doesn't that make her the third party? She knows he already has a girlfriend. Don't say it like that, okay? The one who isn't loved is always the third party. I looked at the bullet comments and pretended I didn't see them. I didn't care about Henry's disappearing back. I didn't even open Vicky's Instagram for answers anymore. I just looked at the last item in my notes. And then I took a taxi to a suburban funeral service company. But suddenly, the bullet comments froze. Chapter 11. When I got home, it was already late. While filling out paperwork, I suddenly remembered that today was my birthday. On the way back, I stopped by a cake shop and bought a small 6-inch cake. When the clerk asked about my birthday, they handed me candles shaped like the number 27. When I arrived home, Henry was already sitting on the sofa. Seeing me, he frowned and instinctively asked, "Why are you back so late?" Then his gaze fell on the cake in my hand, and his pupils contracted slightly. I ignored his questioning, sat down at the dining table, unwrapped the cake, and lit the candles, as if he didn't exist at all. In the flickering candlelight, I made a wish. After returning to my own world, I want to live happily. In my mind, the system spoke softly, "You certainly will." After blowing out the candles, I ate a small slice. Then I placed the rest of the cake into the fridge. Just as I was about to go upstairs, Henry suddenly grabbed my hand. There was a trace of panic in his eyes, perhaps because, in these 7 years, he knew how afraid of loneliness I was. In our first year together, I wished that every birthday from then on would have him by my side. But this time, I no longer needed that. "Diana, I'm sorry. I was too busy today." So, I cut him off, my voice calm. "But no matter how busy you were, you always remembered Vicky's birthday every year, didn't you?" After looking at him for a long time, I said, "Henry, let's break up. Consider it my birthday gift from you." After all, the rightful one had already returned, hadn't she? Breaking up should make him happy. The cold night wind outside stilled, and raindrops slid down the glass windows. His eyes immediately reddened, and if one listened closely, his voice carried a faint choke. "I don't agree." I had no idea what madness he was on about again, and I didn't bother arguing with him. I lifted my feet and went upstairs. In just 2 days, I would be gone. Whether he agreed or not no longer mattered. The bullet comments scrolled. The female supporting role. Woo-woo. She really doesn't plan on living anymore. Scumbag. He claims he forgot the female supporting role's birthday. But in all these years, he never once forgot the female lead's dot. Who understands? In the middle of the night, seeing this, I feel so miserable I can't sleep. What kind of heart must the female supporting role have to handle these things all by herself? I assent this just her trying to force the male supporting role into marrying her? You'll see. When he finds out she's suicidal, he'll propose. So manipulative. No wonder she's the female supporting role. I don't think she's faking it. In the middle of the night, as I drifted in and out of sleep, I felt the mattress beside me sink slightly. Henry wrapped his arms around me from behind, resting his chin on my shoulder. He let out a soft sigh. "Diana, let's stop all this, all right? Let's just be like before." Chapter 12. After work, Henry came home right on time. He turned down all the social gatherings. People in his circle joked in their group chat, saying he was finally reforming his ways. Others said I was impressive, that even after Vicky came back, I still managed to keep Henry firmly under control. Henry said he wanted to make up for my birthday. He personally went to a cake shop to learn, and made a cake for me himself. Excitedly, he cut a slice and offered it to me. "How does it taste?" In the past, no matter how bad it was, I would have smiled and said I liked it, because I loved him. But now, I frowned. Not very good. The cake he made was actually quite decent. But every year, he would make one for Vicky. So to me, it felt hard and cold. There was no need to put on a kind face for him. After saying that, I stood up and left. Late that night, I overheard Henry talking to one of his friends on the phone. "Diana asked me for a breakup. She's upstairs sleeping right now. Is she just throwing a tantrum?" I was fully awake when I heard his friend's urgent voice. "Of course, my girlfriend says she wants to break up all the time, but she always packs up and leaves. If Diana hasn't even prepared to leave, then it only means she's just trying to control you. Why don't you try proposing to her? I guarantee she'll be fine right away." I lowered my gaze. It wasn't that I didn't want to pack my bags, it was that I had already packed everything that afternoon. And soon, I would be leaving anyway. Even if I rented a place, with things like this happening, it would only trouble others. I couldn't bring myself to do that. As for choosing this house, I'd just consider it something Henry owed me. Henry seemed to believe his friend's advice. That night, he asked me, Diana. Let's get married. With my back to him, I looked out the window. My voice was calm. Henry, I will never marry you. In the 7 years we spent together day and night, I had cautiously hoped countless times, even thought of staying in this world for him. It wasn't that he didn't know, yet he always instinctively avoided the topic of marriage, even when we attended old classmates' weddings, and someone teased him about when he would finally marry me. He insisted I was the one pressuring him. He knew my heart. He knew I was nearing 30. He knew I was an orphan, longing for a home, but he never once said those words to me. The only time he ever did, it was because he mistook me for Vicky, and there was only that one chance. His body stiffened, panic mixing with helplessness. As if making a decision, I noticed him unlocking his phone. The bullet comments flashed. See, the male supporting role is contacting someone to arrange a proposal. The female supporting role got what she wanted. Scumbag, is he regretting it now? After 7 years of refusing to propose, now that her heart is dead, he finally decides to propose. Chapter 13. On the morning of the day I was to leave, Henry had a business trip to City A. He would go in the morning and be back by afternoon. Even so, as he left, he told me mysteriously, "Tonight I'll give you a surprise." They say that at the end, a person's words are kind. For once, I offered him a caring phrase. Safe travels. His eyes flickered with surprise, but the next second, Vicky called. I clearly heard her soft and delicate voice through the receiver. "Henry, are you going to City A? I'm also heading there for an auction, but I don't have a ticket. Your assistant still has one. Can I go with you? Just for today. I can be your temporary assistant." Henry instinctively looked at me. I knew he could never refuse Vicky, so I agreed. It's only one ticket. After all, he hesitated, but in the end, nodded. The bullet comments started up again. I really thought the male supporting role would turn back. On a business trip, letting the female lead act as his secretary, and he actually agreed. I just came from the other side. There were still plenty of tickets left. The female lead is disgusting. She clearly fought with the male lead, so now she's clinging to the male supporting role. On the other end, Vicky was thrilled. She chattered on about changing into a suit and skirt, but Henry hung up the call. "Diana, do you really not mind?" I shook my head. Of course I didn't mind, after all. I was about to leave. Yet Henry didn't look happy. He only asked, "Diana, you used to get jealous and fight with me." I sat on the sofa. "Not anymore. Didn't you always dislike me for making a fuss about this?" "Now I won't anymore." He sighed. "Wait for me to come back." I closed the door, and looking at the empty house, whispered, "I won't wait anymore." Henry, this world was too painful. I wanted to go back to where I came from, even if in my original world, I was still an orphan, with no one to love me. Chapter 14. The system told me my departure time was 3:30 in the afternoon. I ordered a takeaway meal, then transferred all the money in my account, in batches, to orphanages in impoverished towns. Host. The time has come. I went to the kitchen, picked up something, and turned on the bathtub faucet. No, don't. Oh God, I really guessed it. Why is the female supporting role being so resolute? Imagine you grew up as an orphan. As an adult, you fall in love for the first time, but he treats you as a substitute. He never wants to marry you. Never even thought of it. Only when drunk, mistaking you for another woman. Did he propose? Wouldn't you feel devastated too? It's over. If the female supporting role dies, the ending must be near. In truth, I wanted to explain I was only going home, and the system had just told me that after returning, I would receive a 300 million bonus. If it had told me earlier, I would have completed the task long ago, but I couldn't explain, as my consciousness began to fade. The phone rang. I didn't see who it was, assuming it was the funeral company I had contacted. It was a small company started by young people. In addition to handling funeral affairs, they also offered to install any chosen audio file onto the tombstone. Press the button, and a voice would play. When they first introduced it to me, they said this way, "No one would ever forget my voice. There would always be someone to remember me." Perhaps someone might even be moved to tears by it. Even the janitor outside thought they were lunatics, secretly tugging my hand and telling me 30 meters to the left there was a more traditional service company. I truly didn't need such an innovative grave, but when I saw the eager eyes of those fresh graduates, I couldn't bring myself to reject them, and signed the contract anyway. When I was leaving, one of the girls couldn't hold back. She tried to persuade me to stay in this world. That day, I looked down and saw Vicky's freshly updated Instagram post. On her finger was a massive diamond ring, a 10-carat flawless square-cut diamond. So yes, he had gone to see Vicky. This was the very ring Henry had once mistakenly given me. Thinking I was Vicky, I shook my head. No, they didn't try to persuade me further. You see, this new generation of young people, at least they've learned to respect everyone's choices. No one scolded me as selfish. There was only compassion and silence. Chapter 15. As soon as the call connected, Henry's voice came through. Diana, I'm almost home. I brought you a gift. You're going to love it. While I was on my trip, I ran into your college roommate, Laura. She works in Cydia now, and she asked me to say hello to you. Diana, tonight I've prepared a surprise for you. When he quieted down, the dripping sound from the bathroom was especially clear. Henry froze. Diana, what are you doing? I was weak, and I hadn't intended to answer him. His voice felt noisy to me, but still, I told him, Henry, I'm leaving. I'm going home. Henry's voice tightened. Diana, where are you going? He knew I was an orphan. I didn't respond. Hearing the unbroken dripping sound, he seemed to realize something. Don't go. Diana, I'm begging you. There was a faint choke in his voice. From the very first day I met Henry, there had been pride in his bones. He had never lowered his voice to anyone. I hung up, and the very second I did, I heard the crash of a car slamming into a guardrail. The male supporting role just got into a car accident. The female supporting role is really dead. Oh my God, I'm crying my eyes out. Why treat the female supporting role like this? Let the scumbag die, and that mistress female lead too. The female supporting role was truly a good person. She prepared gifts for her roommates, donated all her money, and even in leaving, she didn't cause anyone any trouble. Chapter 16. When Henry heard the call disconnect, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his heart. It was as if something had been torn out of his life completely. His car crashed into a nearby guardrail. A crowd gathered to see what had happened, facing the police's questions and the buzz of voices around him. For a moment, there was only ringing in his ears and dizziness. Blood dripped down his forehead. Someone said they should take him to the hospital, but he thought of Diana. He stumbled forward, disheveled, and began to run. Along the way, flashes of their 7 years together, relying on each other, saving each other, played before his eyes. How could she leave? From the moment Diana asked him for a breakup, he had already realized his true feelings. Henry ran for 20 minutes. He was fortunate their home wasn't too far, but when he opened the door and rushed into the bathroom, all he saw was the beautiful, frail girl lying in the bathtub. His eyes were instantly dyed with that blood-red sight. Trembling, he lifted Diana into his arms. He called his assistant, and there he knelt on the floor, holding her tightly. When the assistant arrived with the doctor, he froze at the scene before him. Until the doctor spoke, Miss Diana has no breath. President Ning, my condolences. Henry's tears finally fell, but he didn't believe it. Diana, who loved him so deeply, how could she bear to leave him? Night after night, he had held her in his arms, warmth surrounding him. Shut up. If you've misdiagnosed her, if she misses the best chance for treatment, I swear I'll kill you. The assistant had never seen Henry like this before, so utterly deranged. His eyes held nothing but obsessive madness, though beneath it, the assistant could still glimpse fear, until the doctor strapped the heart monitor onto Diana's hand. On the screen, there was only a straight line. Even then, terrified, he still had to say, President Ning, Miss Diana truly has no heartbeat. After speaking, he glanced at Henry's bloodshot eyes, and instinctively carried his medical case out. But as he left, he couldn't help but mutter under his breath, lunatic. The assistant hesitated. Should I handle Miss Diana's funeral arrangements? Chapter 17. He knew that saying such words would surely anger Henry now, but after being at Henry's side for so many years, he had grown familiar with Diana. Whenever she brought meals for President Ning, she would always bring one for him as well, sometimes even for everyone in the general office. Until Henry, distressed at seeing her struggle carrying so many things, forbade her from doing so. Diana was a truly good person, so good that most people around her could never forget her. How could someone like that ever warm Henry's heart? But he had always held on to that sliver of moonlight from his youth. Perhaps after many years, it wasn't longing, only unwillingness to let go. It was precisely because of that unwillingness that he and Diana missed each other forever. He would never again have the chance to tell her that he had prepared over 9,000 roses on the top floor of Borui. Never again have the chance to tell her that in just 20 minutes, he had planned to propose to her. But now, his heart held nothing but immense regret and pain, like a dagger stabbed straight into his chest, hurting so much he could not even make a sound. 5 hours later, a group of young people, their eyes red, came in, wordlessly. They took Diana away. Henry instinctively fought with them, until a girl placed a contract in front of him. It had Diana's signature. She had entrusted her final matters to them. Even the cemetery plot, it had already been purchased. In the western suburbs, while the villa they lived in now was in the east. Henry had no idea how Diana had managed to arrange all of these things by herself, or what state of mind she was in when she did. She was always so afraid of pain. Yet when she left, she did it so decisively. She bought the grave in the west. Did it mean that even in death, she didn't want to see him again? To stay farther and farther away? Never to meet again? Blood still dripped from his forehead as his heart seized and he fainted. The assistant could only send him to the hospital. The colorful bullet comments scrolled endlessly. Tragic. Too tragic. See? The female supporting role has succeeded. The male supporting role regrets it. But our female lead is pregnant. So from now on, the male supporting role will probably remain by her side as her knight. Shut up. Female lead fans. I just read earlier, the female lead fought with the male lead and even slept with a male model. Who knows if the child is even his dot? That's true, but according to the plot, the male supporting role will cover for the female lead, preventing the male lead's investigation. And that's supposed to happen around this time. But now the male supporting role has collapsed. Is there ever a time this story doesn't go off the rails? Chapter 18. When Henry woke again, the assistant nervously told him that Diana's funeral arrangements had already been carried out according to her wishes. She was buried in the western cemetery. The assistant asked Henry if he wanted to go see her. But suddenly, Henry couldn't bring himself to. As if, so long as he didn't see that cold grave, Diana was still by his side. And so, he endured the longest 7 days of his hospital stay clinging to memories of Diana. On the day of his discharge, the assistant asked him in the car where he wanted to go. Instinctively, he said, Violet Residence, just like countless times before. But midway, he told the assistant to stop, got out, and bought Diana's favorite mousse cake. Back in the car, he said, she'll definitely be happy. This Henry was clearly already broken inside. The assistant didn't know what to say. He could only stay silent. Yet inexplicably, his own nose stung. He thought to himself, he would never again let go of his girlfriend's hand, not once. When Henry got out of the car, he walked into the empty living room and turned on the light. Instinctively, he looked toward the sofa. This time, Diana hadn't left the light on for him, hadn't been sitting there waiting for him to come home. Even everything that once belonged to her was gone. He set down the mousse in his hand. Diana, this is your favorite mousse. I came home a bit late today. Don't be mad, all right? No one replied. At last, he covered his face, his eyes stinging. Outside, the endless rain turned into countless blades, stabbing mercilessly into his heart. Chapter 19. After that day, Henry became a complete workaholic. He never returned to the villa again. Vicky came to him. She had argued with Fu Lin once more and broken up. Crying, she asked if he was willing to marry her. He only glanced at the ring on his finger. I already have a wife. Vicky couldn't accept it. Henry, weren't you the one who said that no matter what, You'd always be waiting behind me? When did you get married? Isn't Diana dead? Have you forgotten the diamond ring you made for me with your own hands? That diamond ring had disappeared in the car the day Vicky found out she was pregnant, fought with Fu Lin, and left home alone the day Henry drove to pick her up. Later, he searched many times but never found it. The ring was indeed one he had crafted himself, but he had never told anyone. When he was making it, his mind was filled with Diana's face. But then, Vicky had returned to the country. How could that ring have ended up in her hands? While speaking, Vicky's phone fell to the ground. Perhaps even heaven wanted him to know the truth. He saw Vicky's Instagram page, and beneath it, the label visible only to Diana. That post had been viewed over 3,000 times. His hand trembled as he scrolled through Vicky's Instagram. Every post was the same. Perhaps in those silent nights, Diana had already known about his betrayal. His heart turned to ash, instantly collapsing into despair. The wound that had already festered beyond healing, now seared with unbearable pain after seeing Vicky's Instagram. He threw Vicky out with brutal force, gasps of shock ringing out. A pool of blood spread beneath her. Fu Lin arrived quickly, but he made no move. He only looked coldly at Vicky screaming. Only after a long while did he throw documents into her face. They were photographs, taken after their marriage, of her frequent fights with Fu Lin, then her nights at bars, sleeping with other male models. Henry watched the quarrel between Fu Lin and Vicky with detached coldness. Then he turned away, car keys in hand, and left. Because of such a person, he had lost Diana forever. Chapter 20. It was as if heaven itself mocked his stupidity. Under a clear sky, a sudden heavy rain poured down. He arrived in the suburban outskirts. It was fortunate Diana had chosen those young people. Upon learning it was her birthday, they had placed a bouquet of daisies before her grave, radiant and beautiful. Looking at the photograph of Diana, he fell to his knees, letting the torrential rain drench him completely. He reached out to touch her beautiful face in the photo, but somehow triggered a mechanism. Diana's voice rang out. "Henry, why are you so annoying?" His reply came out light, almost happy. "Then why don't you hit me?" He remembered that day, when he and Diana had gone to the riverside to watch the New Year's fireworks. He had stolen a kiss on her cheek in the crowd. Later, he shouted, "Diana, will you be my girlfriend?" Her eyes were filled with laughter as she stretched out her hand and shouted back, "I will." That was the beginning of him and Diana. That year, Vicky had gone abroad, and he had been lonely for a long time. Then, someone appeared in his life, bringing him light. Chapter 21. On the way back, it was a deserted mountain road. At night, even fewer people passed by. He got into the car, pulled some medicine from his coat pocket, and swallowed it. Then he started the engine. At the last moment, he closed his eyes, letting the tears slip from the corners of his eyes. The male supporting role also committed suicide? That's what I'm saying. Wasn't this supposed to be a romance story? Why so tragic? I really want to cry. This must be the ending. It really is. The finale. The female lead was abandoned by the male lead. She aborted the child herself, then returned home in disgrace. But after being used to luxury, she often lost her temper at home, demanding abalone and bird's nest. Later, she clung to a nouveau riche, became a mistress, got exposed, was disfigured, and now her parents have taken her back to the countryside. All right, everyone, let's go to sleep. Don't leave. There's an epilogue, go read it. Chapter 22. Henry's consciousness did not fade away. Something called the system found him, still nagging. Why has something gone wrong again? The plot has deviated so much. How could the male supporting role commit suicide? He couldn't understand what it was saying. Believing himself already dead, he rasped out a question. "Excuse me, have you seen Diana?" The system rolled its eyes at him. "Why are you still looking for her? Who is she to you?" Almost without thinking, he said she was his wife. The system grew angrier, but Henry kept following it. For a moment, even it didn't know how badly this little world was going to collapse. Unable to resist Henry's desperate pleas, it finally agreed to take him to see Diana, mainly because it also wanted to see how its former host was doing now. And so, it brought him to Diana's world. Chapter 23. When Henry saw me, I was on the beach, teasing a younger, muscular guy with abs. On my phone, my best friend was still talking. Didn't you say that in those 7 years you were gone, you were in love the whole time? I sipped my drink through a straw. Yes. And then I broke up. She clearly didn't believe me. Broke up? Then why are you suddenly asking me how to seduce a man? Exactly. Haven't you heard? The best way to forget a bad relationship is to start a better one. I have more money than I can spend now. What's wrong with keeping a few college boys? If not, I can support a few college girls too. In fact, I was already sponsoring a few female students. She was speechless, but still taught me a few tricks before hanging up. Chapter 24. I looked at the tall, 185 centimeters guy with abs in front of me, trying every move I had. But he remained unmoved. Only the corner of his lips curved in a faint smile. I let out a cold laugh, turned my head, and walked away. Behind me, I heard him mutter under his breath, "Could she be playing too hard to get?" When I came back again, the young man was still sitting on the lounge chair in his white tank top. I opened my suitcase and threw money into his lap. He froze for a long moment. I explained, "Don't get me wrong. I just simply want to keep you." He glanced at it and instinctively said, "Only this much?" I looked at the 100,000 yuan I had just tossed at him. It wasn't a fortune, but it wasn't little either, right? Are college students' living expenses really that high nowadays? But hey, I had nothing else now, just a bit of money. So I coolly threw down more. The passers-by nearby stared in shock. One even volunteered, "Beautiful lady. If he doesn't want it, I do." That one sentence set the whole crowd off. Exactly. Baby, I'll only ask for 50,000 a month. Pick me, darling. I'll do it for 30,000. Move aside. I'm the best value for money. The young man's face darkened. He stood up, scooped the money back into the suitcase, and snapped, "Get lost. I'll take this job." Chapter 25. Satisfied. On the way back I learned his name was Luis. I snacked along the road until we returned to the hotel. The tips of his ears were so red it looked like they might drip blood. I was just about to tease him when I caught sight of Henry standing nearby, his eyes bloodshot. How could he be here? The system stammered in explanation. He insisted on coming to see you. Beside me, Luis clenched his jaw as he looked at me. Who is he? Your sugar daddy on the side? I quickly coaxed him, after all, with a face like his. I couldn't find a second one even with a lantern. No, it's not like that. He's different from you. He's my ex-boyfriend. Luis's expression grew even darker. I poked his palm with my finger. He lowered his gaze, his face easing a little. Still, the tips of his ears burned crimson. That youthful face, the sharp jawline, those faintly pink lips, who could resist? I was about to act on impulse when Henry suddenly spoke, his voice hoarse. "Diana, can we talk?" Luis bristled as though facing a mortal enemy. "Old man, she has me now. A good woman never looks back." Chapter 26. Still, under Luis's resentful gaze, I agreed to talk to Henry. He looked at my wrist, pained. "Back then, did it hurt? Diana, can we start over?" I shook my head, patiently. I laid it out for him. "You pursued me because you realized I resembled Vicky, and you treated me as a substitute, didn't you? Every year for Vicky's birthday, you personally chose her gifts, didn't you? And the birthday presents you gave me were freebies, weren't they? You never proposed to me because you thought I wasn't worthy, right?" The day Vicky returned, I collapsed from cramps and fell off the sofa. I called you, but you didn't answer. I fainted, then woke up and dragged myself in a cab to the hospital. That day, you went to pick up Vicky, didn't you? I'm afraid of thunderstorms. When I begged you to come out quickly, you were in the bathroom, comforting Vicky for 3 hours. His face grew pale. At last, tears fell from his eyes. "I can change." I shook my head. "There's no need. I'm doing very well now. You should go back." Henry shook his head, staring at me desperately. "I didn't realize I loved you then. I know I was wrong from the very beginning, but I no longer had the patience to hear him out. I only left him with one sentence. Henry, No one will wait for you forever. Some people, some feelings, if you don't cherish them, once they're lost, they're lost. Henry covered his face and wept. I pulled Louise's hand and left. That night, I cried out loud. Tears weren't the only cause. The stamina of youth really was something else. Chapter 27. 3 months later, the system told me the female lead sought Henry out again. After being rejected, she drove into him. Henry lost both legs. The female lead was taken away by the police. I felt a pang of irony. I got up, put on a white shirt, and hugged the young man cooking in the kitchen. Suddenly, bullet comments appeared in front of me. Wait, isn't this guy the pitiful villain from the last world? How did the female supporting role end up with the Yandere villain? Exactly, wasn't their only connection that, when the female lead first transmigrated, she brought the badly beaten villain to the hospital? Oh no, wasn't it actually the female supporting role who, on the way to the hospital, slipped and accidentally stole the villain's first kiss? Hold up, why do these two look so hot together? Is the extra story really this spicy? This plot is totally broken, but I love it. Story 2. At the class reunion, Luis's ex-girlfriend, the one who had once abandoned him, came back. Truth or dare? He chose truth. Someone teased him, asking, Luis, is the person you love here today? He clenched his glass, his voice low. Yes, but I didn't go to the reunion, so the one he loves isn't me. That night, I tore up the pregnancy report, speaking earnestly yet gently. Luis, let's get a divorce. Chapter 01. Congratulations, Selena, you're pregnant. When I heard this news, my first reaction was to tell Luis, but after a moment's thought, I decided to surprise him tonight. I carefully put away the pregnancy report and sent him a message. Luis, come home early tonight. I have something to tell you. I quickly got a response. I have a dinner engagement tonight. You don't need to wait for me. I frowned slightly but ultimately said nothing. I only reminded him, all right, be careful on your way. Don't drink too much. Watch out for your stomach. Yes, ma'am. The words were playful, so different from the cold and serious president image Luis portrayed to the outside world. I couldn't help but smile, the knot in my heart loosening slightly. By evening, worried that Luis might get drunk, I got up to prepare some hangover soup. Just then, my phone suddenly lit up. It was a message from an unfamiliar number. Selena, I'm back in the country, right now. I'm with your husband. The signature was Eva, and then there was a photo. Luis looked up slightly, his gaze falling on a woman in the corner, eyes full of tenderness. My heart trembled, and the knife lightly grazed my finger. Blood dripped onto the floor. So much for the dinner engagement. Turns out, Eva was back. Chapter 02. Luis and I were childhood friends in the true sense. Our families were well matched, but I wasn't his girlfriend. Eva was. In high school, Luis was a top student. From a good family, and stunningly handsome, he captured the hearts of countless girls. But he only liked Eva. Everyone knew it. Whether it was the public love confession on Eva's birthday or his constant favoritism toward her, I watched quietly, secretly envious. But during our freshman year in college, Luis's family suddenly faced a crisis. After his father's bankruptcy and suicide, his mother fell gravely ill. At that time, everyone around Luis disappeared, and Eva broke up with him and went abroad. He was depressed for a long time. When I found him, he was being beaten to the ground by debt collectors. I cried as I blocked those people, giving them all the money I had. The debt collectors saw my pitiful state, exchanged glances, and left. In the dim alley, only he and I remained. I carefully helped him up, but he shoved me away, his voice cold. I don't need your pity. I, for once, stood my ground and blocked his way, speaking slowly. Luis, I can help you, I swear. At that time I just wanted to help him, nothing else. Not seeking anything in return. But he looked at me for a long time that day, then suddenly let out a derisive laugh. You want to keep me? Huh? I froze. Before I could respond, he turned and left without a backward glance. But I still helped him. I paid his school fees, lent him money to invest in his business after graduation, helped him rise again, and personally took care of his hospitalized mother. His attitude toward me gradually softened, and later, he proposed to me. The ceremony was simple, but I was overjoyed. I thought I had finally melted Luis's icy heart, and that he had long forgotten Eva. But today, as I was overjoyed with the news of my pregnancy, he lied about a dinner engagement and turned around to attend his first love's return banquet. Quite laughable, really. Putting my phone away, I looked out the window and gently pushed it open. A gust of winter wind howled through, the breath I exhaled gathering and then dispersing, fleeting. Suddenly, I felt that this winter was colder than any before. Chapter 03. As I stepped on the snow and stood at the door of the bar's private room, I suddenly paused. I wasn't sure why I came, to catch him in the act, or to confront him. But either way, it was unseemly and undignified. Just then, a waiter pushed the door open, and upon seeing me, softly asked if I was lost. I shook my head. After he left, I gently pushed the door ajar, leaving a crack, not wide, but enough for me to clearly see inside the private room. In the dim lighting, Luis leaned back against the sofa, head slightly tilted up, his disheveled bangs falling across his forehead, making him look all the more mature and unrestrained, attractive. Eva sat not far from him, staring at him intently, but Luis didn't even glance at her. As if she meant nothing to him, Eva's eyes quietly reddened, looking pitiful and aggrieved, so different from her boastful attitude when she messaged me. On July 30th, 4 years ago, Luis proposed to you, but you might not know that on that same day, I married someone else. Selena, do you think Luis married you because he truly loves you? To prove something to me, or simply not to owe you a favor, though phrased as a question? Her tone was certain. She was confident that Luis loved her, no matter what. Even now, as Luis seemed indifferent to her, some around noticed the scene, and someone, eager for drama, smiled and asked, "Luis, want to play truth or dare?" Luis neither nodded nor shook his head. The next moment, the bottle turned to him. He glanced at it, his tone indifferent. Truth. The person smiled, glanced at Eva, then looked back at Luis and asked, "Luis, is the person you love here today?" The private room instantly fell silent. After all, everyone knew about the history between Luis and Eva. Back then, Luis treated Eva so well, and yet, when he fell on hard times, Eva abandoned him without hesitation. If it hadn't been for my unwavering support and wholehearted help, Luis wouldn't have achieved his current success as a rising business tycoon. Who mattered more? Who truly cared for Luis? Anyone could see that, especially considering Luis's love for me over the years. It was well known, but Luis, he still didn't give an answer, neither a confirmation, nor a denial. Standing at the door, I stared at him intently, feeling my wildly beating heart grow colder, bit by bit. Chapter 04. In the private room, someone thought Luis found the question ridiculous, not worth answering. They laughed and said, "What kind of question is that? It's too simple." Luis couldn't even be bothered to answer. Selena isn't here today, so obviously the person Luis loves isn't here. The others, hearing this, also began to talk about all the things Luis had done for me over the years. I love roses, so Luis built a rose garden just for me. On my birthday, he let me choose from a collection of expensive jewelry. At banquets, he repeatedly asserted his claim over me. When he received the Young Entrepreneur Award, he declared his love for me. There were so many moments, too many to count. Someone sneered at Eva, mocking her. "Eva, you really couldn't see his worth back then. If you hadn't left, maybe today you'd be Mrs. Luis. Yeah, you abandoned Luis, and now you must regret it, right?" Eva's face turned deathly pale, her fingers tightly gripping her glass until they were white, as if she were on the verge of collapse. But I noticed that Luis's jaw was tightly clenched, and he was rubbing his thumb in subtle irritation. This was his unconscious habit whenever he faced a difficult decision. He was seriously considering it. A moment later, just as Eva was about to flee under the scornful laughter of the crowd, Luis suddenly took a large gulp of his drink and said, "Yes." Everyone was stunned. Someone reminded him, "Luis, you must be drunk. Your wife isn't here today." But Luis put down his glass and repeated, "The person I love is here, the final word." I wasn't there, but Eva was. So who Luis loved was obvious. The room fell silent. Eva, however, was ecstatic. "Luis, I knew you still loved me. Coming back for you was the right decision." Luis glanced at her hand holding onto his sleeve, a glimmer crossing his eyes, but he did not pull away. The next second, he nonchalantly shifted his gaze, tilted his head slightly. Then, he saw me standing at the doorway. Luis's expression instantly froze. Behind him, Eva's eyes held a hint of smugness, as if to say, "See? Even after all this time, Luis's obsession with cleanliness still doesn't apply to me." She, Eva, was always the exception for Luis. "Selena, don't mind it." Luis saying he loves me just now was probably because he drank too much. A pathetic act, but disgusting enough. I frowned slightly and looked at Eva. Eva, in a show of defiance, tried to hold Luis's hand, but the next second, Luis shook off her hand, taking a step toward me. "Selena, it's so cold today. Why aren't you resting at home? Haven't you always found bars noisy?" His voice was gentle, his words considerate, as if nothing had just happened. I looked up at him, a faint smile on my lips, but I avoided his outstretched hand. "It is quite cold today." It really was quite cold, and so was my heart. Chapter 05. Back home, the hangover soup on the table was still steaming. The wisps of steam rose into the air, then dispersed, as if they had never existed. I raised my hand, lifted the pot lid, and quietly poured a bowl of soup, placing it in front of Luis. When I tried to pull my hand back, he caught it. He spoke. "Selena, about just now." He wanted to explain what had happened earlier. He knew I had heard. But after a moment, I still didn't hear the explanation I was waiting for. His expression grew stiffer, and I smiled as I helped complete his explanation. "You had a few drinks, and sometimes that leads to saying the wrong things." "I understand." He looked at my expression. Seeing that I genuinely didn't seem to care, he frowned slightly but nodded nonetheless. He quietly drank the soup. Under the dim yellow light, the sharpness of his features softened. He was no longer the spirited young master from high school, nor the reserved, understated young man from college. Now, after all the hardships he'd endured, he had undergone a complete transformation, shining brightly. And through this journey, I was always there. When Luis's family's company was just starting out, they couldn't even afford to pay wages. It was me who took out years of savings, who gave up my favorite painting, working in his company as a junior accountant, a clerk, his most reliable secretary and assistant. Step by step, I was by his side, as we built the company from a small workshop of fewer than 10 people into a large corporation of hundreds and thousands. 10 years have passed now. I've always been curious. I looked at him and suddenly asked, "Luis, why did you marry me back then?" Clink. The spoon hit the edge of the bowl. Luis looked up at me, his smile gentle. "Because you're well-behaved, beautiful, and exceptional. Very specific, very complete." I nodded in agreement, then spoke again in a soft voice. "Then, why did you like Eva back then?" This was the first time I mentioned Eva. Seriously. Luis noticed my attitude and let out a helpless laugh, as if he didn't know how to deal with me. But he got stuck. He frowned slightly, his eyes revealing a hint of contemplation. But no answer came. I kept looking at him until my eyes started to ache, and I quickly blinked them away, smiling as I changed the topic. "Luis, do you love me now?" Without hesitation, he replied, "Of course I love you." I silently looked at him. Luis raised his hand and pulled me into his embrace, holding me tightly, as if he wanted to merge me into his body, never to part. "Selena, I love you." "I won't say things like that again. I'm sorry. I just didn't want to embarrass Eva because of me. That's why I said those things. I know it hurts you, and it's my fault." His tone was sincere, his words gentle. My fingers trembled slightly, and I nodded. But he didn't know that the heart in my chest, which had fluttered countless times for him, seemed tired, beating slowly, so lightly, just like how he didn't know that truly loving someone means you can't explain the reason. Just as he couldn't explain what he liked about Eva, because he liked everything about her. So how could he possibly put it into words? If it can be put into words, then is it even love? But I didn't want to tell him. Too tired. Chapter 06. The next morning, I told Luis that I was going to my mom's place today. He said he wanted to come with me, but when the appointed time came, Luis still hadn't shown up. I drove back alone. My mom was surprised to see me by myself. Why didn't Luis come? I'm not good at lying, so I said nothing. My mom changed the subject accordingly. My parents had a marriage of convenience, but their love remained as strong as ever over the years. My mom was spoiled by my dad, her smile and frown full of happiness. In contrast, I seemed a bit worn out. I suddenly remembered how many years ago, my mom had tried to stop me from being with Luis, though soon after, she gave in to my wishes. Back then, I thought it was because of our family backgrounds not matching, but now I felt my mom wasn't that shallow. So I asked, "Mom, why didn't you want me to be with Luis back then?" My mom looked at me for a long time, as if she had figured something out. Her voice gentle, "Because you two are too alike, equally stubborn, equally determined to keep going until you hit a wall. Is that so?" I thought about it. No answer. When I was about to leave, my mom gently stroked my face. Her eyes tinged with sadness. "Selena, no matter what decision you make, follow your heart. Don't do anything that you'll regret." But what would make me regret it? Again, no answer. When I got home, Luis still hadn't returned. I opened my phone, and it was filled with his messages of apology and explanation. I didn't reply to any of them. Then I drove to his office building. The receptionist recognized me and tried to stop me by making a call. She looked at me as if she wanted to say something, and just as I was about to get on the elevator, she suddenly said, "Madam, you should pay more attention to the boss." I froze. Before I could understand the hidden meaning behind her words, the elevator doors had already closed. But soon enough, I understood. I raised my hand, just about to push open the door to Luis's office, when I heard a familiar sob. "Luis, I really don't know what to do. I was forced to leave back then, and all these years, I've never forgotten you. I know you still love me, right?" My movement came to an abrupt stop. Chapter 07. It was Eva. She stood in front of Luis, dressed in a pink dress, her black hair against her pale skin, eyes red, crying pitifully and helplessly. But Luis wouldn't look at her. "I'm already married. What you do has nothing to do with me." Cold, harsh, heartless. Eva seemed wounded by his icy demeanor, her face ashen as she let out a bitter laugh. "I understand. I just love you. I won't try to ruin what you have with Selena. She's a lady of wealth. Unlike me, I have nothing now. How could I ever match you? But besides you, where else can I go? If I go home, I'll definitely be forced to marry that old man. I'd rather just die." She clutched her chest, crying so miserably it seemed she might faint at any moment. Luis merely glanced at her before lowering his head to deal with the documents, saying nothing, if not for seeing his slightly trembling fingertips, or the creases left on the document he clenched tightly. I might have believed that he was truly unmoved, but I knew him too well. So, I knew that at this very moment, he was making a choice between marriage and Eva. But the answer was obvious. He stepped towards Eva and, under her expectant gaze, pulled her into his arms. His voice was low. "Eva, don't be afraid. As long as I'm here, no one can force you." Eva's eyes shimmered with tears, crying with joy. The dark gray-toned office seemed to take on a hint of warmth from their embrace. I stood outside the door, watching the two of them hugging, kissing, and expressing their longing for each other. I didn't interrupt. I made no sound, until they walked out of the office hand in hand. Then they saw me. Luis's expression changed instantly. He opened his mouth, but only managed to say a few words. "Selena, how long have you been here?" I looked at him and let out a soft laugh. "A long time." Long enough that as I looked at this man I had loved for so many, many years, I suddenly felt as though I was looking at a stranger. Long enough that the heart which had fluttered for him countless times could no longer find any love. Not a single trace of it. Selena. Let's go home. I cut off his explanation, smiling as I repeated, Luis. Let's go home. I think I have to make my decision. Chapter 08. Back at home. Neither of us spoke. The room was silent. I turned on the light, the warm yellow glow filling the room, falling on Luis, as if casting a layer of light over him. He hung his head, hands clasped together, silent. Suddenly, I remembered 4 years ago, the day he proposed to me. He was sitting across from me like this, looking at me intently. He called softly, Selena. I froze. He gave a soft laugh, his eyes curving, then seriously asked me, would you marry me? At that moment, my mind went blank. It wasn't until he laughed out loud that I came back to my senses, and without hesitation, I nodded. I had always considered that day the happiest day of my life, but Eva shattered my beautiful dream. Right now, I looked at the man in front of me and asked softly, Luis, do you remember what you said when you proposed to me? He raised his eyes to look at me, his hands clenching instinctively. You said, when two people are together, they should never betray, never part. I paused, my voice raspy as I spoke again. But you cheated. I saw it with my own eyes. He anxiously explained, Selena. I was just confused at the moment. I really don't have feelings for Eva anymore. I cut him off. But you're not willing to let go. You're not willing to let go of your unfulfilled love for Eva from your youth. Not willing to let go of that wasted youth. So, you've never forgotten her. Even though it was me by your side all these years. Even though it was me who helped you rise again. Even though Luis kept professing his love to me. Doing one grand gesture after another. In the past, I felt overjoyed by this. But thinking about it now, Luis had always been low-key about everything, except when it came to declaring his love for me. Why? Did he really love me? Or was he using me to spite Eva, who was far away? I think it was the latter. Luis never loved me. Instead, he kept using me, again and again, from beginning to end. I loved the wrong person. Thinking of this felt like my heart was being scorched by fire, slashed by a knife, bloody, painful beyond words. Luis stayed silent for a long time, long enough that I thought he wouldn't speak again. Suddenly, he said, Selena, I swear, I won't look for her again. Can you give me another chance? I already gave you one. I wiped away the tears in the corner of my eyes, my voice very soft. That day, when you said you loved Eva. Chapter 09. Luis's expression froze. Maybe he thought I seemed so calm that day because I didn't care anymore. But that wasn't true. That day, I was deeply hurt. He said he only did it to save Eva from embarrassment. But I knew him too well, so I knew he was lying. On that same day, he lied to me twice. All for Eva. Quite laughable. Really, to be honest. Before that day, I thought my love for Luis was rock solid, unbreakable. But after that day, I realized I was wrong. My love was fragile. So fragile that a single glance, a single sentence could easily shatter it. But I wasn't willing to let go. I had accompanied Luis step by step to where he was today, enduring hardships, shedding tears and sweat. Why should I just hand him over to someone else? So, self-righteously, I gave Luis another chance. I told myself, if they had no more contact, I could pretend that today never happened. But I was wrong. Just as I couldn't let go of what Luis said that day, Luis also couldn't let go of Eva. I always said Luis was unwilling to give up on Eva. How was I any different? That's why I held on to a false marriage, a deceitful husband, unwilling to let go even in death. But thinking about it now, what's the point? All I got was endless self-consumption and self-harm. At this moment, I suddenly gave up. I loved the wrong person, and I admitted it. Looking at the man in front of me, I took off the diamond ring from my finger, speaking earnestly and gently, Luis, honestly, if you fell for someone else, whether it's Eva or anyone else, I could understand. But you should have been honest with me. Not lied to me over and over. I am your wife. The one who accompanied you for years. Even if you don't love me, you should respect me. Or maybe, seeing me dance in circles because of you made you feel significant. Luis looked at me anxiously, reaching out to take my hand. Selena. No, I never meant to deceive you. I pulled away. He never meant to deceive me. But he did. Again and again. I can barely tell what's true and what's false anymore. I'm tired. I don't want to bother figuring it out any longer. I looked into his eyes and said, word by word, Luis, let's get a divorce. I'm tired, so I won't want you anymore. As for the child, I carefully touched my still flat abdomen and let out a soft sigh. Chapter 10. Luis agreed to the divorce. Because that night, my attitude was so resolute. Luis, if you don't agree, I'll sue you. His company was about to go public. At such a critical point, he couldn't afford to let something like this happen. No matter how much he didn't want it, he moved out of the house, and I blocked all his contact information, as if this way, he would vanish from my life. But every night, in the early hours, I could still see his car and the faint spark from a cigarette when I looked out the window. Luis smoked in his car. I thought he had quit long ago. Turns out, he hadn't. He had only hidden it. Just like his love and unwillingness for Eva and me. I contacted my doctor. Scheduled the surgery for tomorrow. This child, whom I did not expect and love, I no longer wanted. Chapter 11. Click. The surgical light turned on. After being injected with anesthesia, I was supposed to drift off to sleep, but I could still hear some voices. It's a little girl. Yes. It's really a pity. She's fully formed. I heard Selena had a miscarriage before, and now she's getting rid of this one too. It might be hard for her to conceive again in the future. Yes, a miscarriage. I remember it was when the company was just starting. The most difficult time, unable to secure investments. I didn't want my parents to look down on him, so I didn't seek their help. Back then, it was just Luis and me running the company. Seeking investors, finding projects, busy day and night. Neither of us noticed that a small life had silently come into this world. Until I fell from the stairs due to low blood sugar. The child was gone. My heart nearly shattered too. Luis held me tightly, crying out loud for the first time, apologizing to me, promising to treat me well. I believed him. That day, two people who had lost the most precious thing held each other tightly, trying to find warmth in one another. At that moment, I truly believed we would last forever, until Eva came back. Until now, here I am, lying on the operating table, about to end the life of our second child. Liar. Luis, you hurt me so deeply. You never really loved me. But thankfully, now, I no longer love you either. Luis. When I woke up, the first thing I saw was the nurse's gentle smile. Selena, how are you feeling? I'm fine. I nodded, my gaze turning to the window, and I suddenly noticed that the tree outside had silently sprouted some buds. Tender, fragile, yet growing resiliently in the cold wind. So, spring is coming. How wonderful. This winter, colder than any before, is finally coming to an end. It won't be cold anymore. Chapter 12. I didn't tell anyone about the miscarriage. Not even my parents knew about it. I loved the wrong person. I'll bear the consequences myself. Why add more sadness to others? The lawyer I hired was well known in the field, and in less than a month, the divorce papers were delivered to me. All the assets were split 70-30. 70 for me, 30 for Luis. The lawyer told me. Originally, it was 60-40. Mr. Luis voluntarily increased your share, perhaps out of guilt, but I wouldn't refuse. After signing my name, I looked directly at the man sitting across from me for the first time. It had only been half a month since I'd last seen him, but Luis looked alarmingly haggard. Even his suit was disheveled. Nothing like his usual self. Luis. I called his name. He looked up at me, his eyes sunken, dark circles heavy. He looked somewhat pitiful, as if he was the one betrayed, not me. Do you know what the good news I wanted to tell you that day was? I looked back at him. smiling slightly. That day, I found out I was pregnant. I thought you had the right to know that there once existed a child that was ours. I placed an ultrasound image and the prenatal checkup report in front of him. You could vaguely see the curled-up shadow inside. That was the child I had longed for. Now, it no longer exists. I killed it with my own hands. In that moment, I belatedly felt an uncontrollable pain spreading through my chest. Unspeakable. Impossible to let go of. Luis. It was you who gave up on him. Luis's breath hitched as he stared blankly at the 2 sheets of paper in front of him. They looked light, but felt so heavy. He read them over and over again, his eyes more shattered than I had ever seen before. When he spoke again, his voice was hoarse. Why didn't you tell me sooner? He was questioning me. How laughable. Because. I thought for a moment, and the smile slowly faded from my face. Because you don't deserve it, Luis. I stayed by your side for so long, and you could hurt me over and over again for someone who abandoned you. Who hurt you? A child you didn't even know. Do you really care? So stop pretending you were ever deeply in love. You don't deserve love. Never deserving. I took the agreement, turned around, and walked away, faintly hearing the sound of yelling behind me. Maybe it was Luis. Maybe it wasn't. But I no longer cared. Chapter 13. News of my divorce from Luis quickly spread. The division of property attracted a lot of attention. 70 for me, 30 for him. Everyone said Luis was generous. And to my surprise, Eva actually reached out to me. In the cafe, she glared at me, her expression hostile. And the first thing she said was an accusation. Selena, don't you think you're being too greedy? I raised an eyebrow at her. Luis's company is about to go public. Now that you've divorced him and taken so much of his assets, how is he supposed to go public? Aren't you ruining him? I took a sip of my coffee, my tone indifferent. Yes, I am ruining him. I knew this was a critical time for him. I also knew that the assets he gave me were enough to ruin all of his plans. But so what? I let out a soft laugh. For someone who betrayed and hurt me, should he really have a happy ending? This was what I deserved. I admitted that I loved the wrong person, and I would bear the consequences. Luis cheated during our marriage, and he had to bear the consequences too. That's only fair. Eva looked at me as if seeing me for the first time, her eyes widening. Selena, you're really cruel. Anyone else in this world can judge me, but you have no right. I looked at the woman in front of me, who considered herself Mrs. Luis. And the smile on my face slowly faded, replaced by coldness. You're just someone who tried to interfere in someone else's marriage. Eva, hearing this, showed no shame. Instead, she smiled triumphantly. Selena, you were married to Luis for so many years, and you couldn't hold on to his heart. Isn't that because you're useless? How could you blame me? Before she could finish, I raised my hand and slapped her across the face. Slap. The sound was crisp. Eva was stunned by the slap. Selena, you. I grabbed her chin, coldly staring into her eyes. Eva, I don't blame you. But you won't be with Luis either. I, Selena, have never been one to be bullied. I have never been easy to deal with. Otherwise, I wouldn't have fought alongside Luis. Step by step, through the blood-soaked business world, I reined in my temper, willing to be Luis's support. Not because I was soft-hearted or easy to bully, but because I loved Luis. Eva thought that using Luis to hurt me would leave me devastated, causing me to leave in despair, letting her easily take my place. But unfortunately for her, she had always underestimated me. I, Selena, have never been the kind of fragile woman who could be shattered by love. The harm Eva inflicted on me, I could only return to her 100-fold, 1,000-fold. This was the ending I chose for her. Chapter 14. After Eva returned to the country, she entered the entertainment industry. With Luis's investment and resources, she quickly gained some fame. But during an arranged live broadcast, a woman suddenly broke into the studio. She started tearing into Eva in front of everyone. You filthy woman. I finally found you, seducing my husband abroad, making him divorce me, and taking all our assets back to the country. Did you really think you were clean? That no one knew about your dirty deeds? And now you're using the same tricks. Seducing a corporate CEO to get him to divorce. Eva, aren't you disgusting? Just a few sentences. But the amount of information was immense. Everyone was shocked. Eva struggled frantically, yelling with all her might, "Turn off the live broadcast." It was only then that the staff reacted, pulling the plug. But it was too late. Everyone had seen it clearly, heard it clearly. In this era where the internet spans the world, everything Eva had done abroad was quickly dug up. Even a well-known blogger personally revealed more evidence. In the photos, Eva lay on a bed, scantily clothed, looking sexy and sultry. Beside her stood an overweight older man. He was staring at her with a look of obsession. That man was the husband of the woman who had broken into the studio. He was also Eva's ex-husband. This news caused an online uproar. Eva was finished. Her reputation was ruined. She also faced a lawsuit from the woman, who wanted her rightful share of the property back. At this point, everyone was closely watching Luis's response. It didn't take long for the company to issue a statement denying any relationship with Eva. Eva even went to Luis's corporate headquarters and was caught on camera. Eva threw herself at Luis, crying, but was ruthlessly thrown to the ground by security guards. Pitiful and pathetic. Luis didn't even glance at her, walking straight ahead, facing questions from reporters. His handsome face was cold and stern. "I have nothing to do with this. My relationship with Miss Eva ended as classmates. There is nothing more." Calm and dignified, he seemed like a person from a completely different world compared to Eva. Covered in dirt on the ground, Eva cried her heart out in agony. I watched the video with indifferent eyes, my thoughts swirling until they turned into a sigh. Luis has always been a businessman, cold-blooded, unfeeling. In the face of disadvantage, he would only discard decisively. The so-called unwillingness and love he had for Eva were nothing compared to immense profit. Eva misjudged him, ending up like this. She only had herself to blame. Chapter 15. Luis's company ultimately did not go public. The funding chain was insufficient. I had already guessed it, but I had no time to focus on that anymore. I officially took over my father's position and became the owner of my family company. From being Mrs. Luis, I became a company CEO. The next time I saw Luis was at a friend's baby's 100-day celebration. The friend's child was chubby and extremely cute. I took the baby in my arms, soft and with a sweet milk scent. For some reason, I thought of my two children who never came to be. If they had been born, they would be around this size now. One day they would have called me mom so sweetly. Thinking of this, my heart twisted as if by a knife, the pain almost unbearable. At that moment, my friend patted me. "Luis is here." I looked up and saw Luis standing not far away, staring blankly in my direction. My friend sighed and said, "He's been doing quite badly. I heard Eva won't leave him alone." Even secretly took pictures and videos of her kissing Luis, forcing him to take responsibility for her, threatening to release them to prove he cheated during marriage. Recently, Luis's attempt to go public failed, and now he urgently needs investment to maintain the funding chain. The last thing he needs is a scandal, and apparently, they still haven't come to an agreement. But it's his own fault. "You helped him for so long, yet he wasn't grateful." The last words were full of schadenfreude and sarcasm. I smiled faintly, turned, and left the hall. Walking into the garden, Luis followed me. "Selena, long time no see." I turned my head to look at him. "Hello, Luis." The tone was distant. Luis let out a bitter laugh and suddenly said, "Selena, today is my birthday. Could you walk with me for a while?" I was taken aback, frowning slightly. I wanted to refuse, but seeing the persistence in his eyes, I eventually nodded. Chapter 16. We left the banquet hall. Luis led me to the entrance of a small alley. The alley was dark, the wind blowing through it carrying a dampness. I stopped. Luis walked a few more steps forward and said softly, "Do you remember this place?" I pressed my lips together, not answering. I was beaten down by the debt collectors here. At that time, I even wanted to kill them, but I couldn't. So I just endured the beating. And then you appeared. You threw yourself on me, crying. Back then, I thought you were just pitying me. But much, much later, I understood that you were hurting for me. He let out a bitter laugh, his tone tinged with a sense of regret. You were good to me, helped me, not because you pitied me, but because you liked me. I knew you liked me, and my first reaction was actually relief, because if you liked me, you'd never leave me. In this life, I've lost too much. I didn't want to lose you. I silently looked at him, without a word. At some point, a small streetlight at the alley's entrance turned on. The dim light fell on Luis's face, casting shadows on his sharp features. Yet his eyes were filled with gloom. He looked back at me. You once asked me why I proposed to you. In the past, I thought it was just to spite Eva. But after the divorce, I finally understood. I married you because I wanted to see you happy. A long time ago, I regretted it. I should have loved you well. I shouldn't have let my resentment from my younger years cloud my mind. Yes, what Luis felt for Eva might not have been love, just a sense of defiance. But whatever it was, it ruined us. He said he regretted it. So what if he regretted it? Would the hurt disappear? Would the tears from countless nights vanish? He asked me, Selena, can you forgive me? I looked at his hand, clenched until the veins showed, his hair scattered across his forehead, his eyes carrying a hint of pleading, as if I were his last lifeline. My answer, it seemed, decided his fate. But I can't. I looked at him, speaking each word clearly. If I forgive everything, then it means I deserved everything that happened. He instantly deflated, his straight back slightly slumping, as if all his strength had been drained. I turned to look at the alley's entrance. It was bright, the ground paved neatly with red bricks, clean and tidy, no longer the dark, cluttered alley it used to be. Just as I could no longer find the sharp, brooding trace of Luis who used to lean against the wall, looking up at me, and I no longer cried for him. Unknowingly, we both changed. This marriage, this love, now, there's nothing left but a mess. A gust of wind blew, making my voice scatter in pieces. I spoke softly, but I don't want to pursue it anymore, no matter what happened in the past. Let's just let it go. I want to live well now. I don't want to be trapped by the past anymore. Chapter 17. I turned and left the alley. Looking up, I saw the trees along the road already had green leaves, and the streetlights were lighting up one by one, shining through the leaves, spreading over the ground. I walked quietly, step by step. Then a shadow fell in front of me. I looked up. It was Luis from my youth. His eyes shimmered with specks of light, wearing a white shirt, his collarbones jutting out like butterfly wings ready to spread. He smiled with his eyes curved, his voice very soft. Selena, will you marry me? I looked at him for a long time. Then, I shook my head. I heard myself say, I don't want to anymore. The days I spent married to you, I was once happy, once sad. I don't regret knowing you, but if I were given another chance, I wouldn't want to marry you again. Being with you, it was quite painful. I know that being with someone is a huge gamble in itself, and I also know that in this gamble, I lost. So, I don't want to gamble anymore. At that moment, a gust of wind blew, and the Luis in front of me vanished. A drop of rain hit the corner of my eye, like a tear, but I stopped crying for Luis long ago. I never will again. Just like how that surging love from all those years has already faded away with the passage of time, disappeared completely. After a spring rain, the chill brought by winter dissipated. I think that the day when spring blossoms arrive will surely come, won't it?